Welcome into another Chieftain Roll Call. I'm Bill Tipple with Jack Farner, who's a Bellefontaine High School junior, student-athlete, and Coach Rick Reed. Rick's a longtime teacher here as well at Bellefontaine High School. If you're new to our show, it's presented by Easton Water Solutions on South Main and Bellefontaine. And what we do is we talk Bellefontaine High School athletics. Today, a little bit more of a broader stroke around the nation with the NCAA men's basketball tournament or March Madness. Then later in the show, we'll talk Bellefontaine High School DECA with Jake Kennedy and some of his kids who will go to the national conference in Orlando in April. And we're trying to raise funds. We'll hear more about that later. But guys, I know that you both watched a lot of basketball last weekend. It was 4 days of men's hoops. We're down from 64, or I guess maybe 68 if you go back to the play-in games.
Right.
From 68 to 16. We'll start with the coach. Anything that surprises you?
16 seed over 1 seed. It's kind of surprising.
Second time ever, only.
Yeah, biggest upset. And then I think for some reason they kept calling it the biggest upset. Is that because Purdue was more heavily favored than Virginia? They were referring to it as a bigger upset.
That's a good question. I don't know.
They beat them. I mean, they just beat them. It was the whole game, right? Like, I remember at one point a guy I was sitting with said, and this was probably early in the second half, and he was like, "Yeah, this is the point where you start to say, could Purdue be in trouble?" And yeah, they'd been in trouble. But a lot of times those games will start out like that, and then the team will go on a 12-0 run and it's over. But never came for Purdue.
The Fairleigh Dickinson coach, who I think just landed a new job this week.
He did, Iona.
As Rick Pitino went to St. John's, so it's kind of
they really failed me.
The chain reaction there. But
Thanks.
He had a couple interesting quotes after the game. He said that as he watched game film, he thought that his team had a real chance because they were so experienced in the backcourt. Some of those guards he brought over from his old coaching job, which was a Division II school. Purdue had some freshman guards, and they couldn't respond. I am surprised though that they not only that they lost, but some people had Purdue going maybe to the Final Four.
Oh, lots of people. Check those CBS Sports brackets. Zach Edey doesn't touch the ball. I feel like that's my memory of the game. Now I'm watching it with a lot of people in a big place that's loud, but I felt like that was the buzz, is Zach Edey's not touching the ball down the stretch. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And, they're to be really good in basketball, if you have 3 scores, you're really hard to stop. If you have 2, you're still pretty hard to stop. But when you are a kind of a one-trick pony, and I know they won the Big Ten, but they don't really have another player that strikes fear into me. So, if you stop him or don't let him get the ball, game over.
I watched the game with behind a bunch of Purdue people, and they were diehards, and they were crushed. I think I told the story on the last show about watching it with some Michigan State folks in the same situation when they lost to Middle Tennessee State. So maybe I'm the problem, but they
you're the Big Ten jinx.
They were very negative about Purdue basketball by the end, and I didn't realize this, but Purdue has lost in 3 straight tournaments to
like a 11 seed or lower.
I think it's a 14, a 15, and a 16. Is that right?
They lost to St. Peter's.
Which was last year was a 15 seed. And I thought someone said 2 years ago it was a 14 seed. So that's, if you're Matt Painter.
But the other side of that is, and this is what makes our show, makes sports so interesting, they were not even a ranked team when the season started, and they were I know they were a bust in the tournament, but still they were a 1 seed, and they won the Big Ten. So, it's easy to say what they're saying, but I would still say in general, this is my opinion, they still had a pretty good season from what we were looking at around Thanksgiving time.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with their coach after the game, Purdue-wise. He was just really professional. Like, if you watch his interviews, I felt like the reporters wanted to get him out of there but he was making sure he got to every single question, and I don't know. I like the guy, even though
Well, that's when you really, and I know coach has been a coach, but that's where you see how they react when it's not, everybody wants the microphone when you win, but how are you going to handle it when you lose?
Yeah, I thought he did a great job of that.
So
what makes a tournament great, though? The game. I mean, you need a game like that. It doesn't have to be a 16, but you need at least a 14, 15, 16. If you get that, you've hit a home run.
Well, you're right, and we have more because I brought the bracket, the one that's still standing, and maybe we'll even make some picks for the next couple nights. But Princeton is a 15; they're still dancing.
Yeah, I mean, 2 upsets now. So they beat Arizona in round 1.
And Missouri.
And then Missouri in round 2, yeah. Yes. And the thing is, I feel like Princeton, I had them They lost to, or they beat Yale in the play-in game, right? The conference. Yeah, I don't think Princeton had that great a season, right?
They've only lost 6 games.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good.
How many?
6.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay.
Yep, they are. Let's see. Well, 8. Correction. 22-8.
22-8. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, decent. So I guess they're probably the biggest. I guess as we just look at the Sweet 16, they're the lowest seed by far.
Who do they play now?
They play Creighton, which will be
Your team.
Yeah, I'm on Creighton.
Friday night.
But that's, I don't know. I mean, just saying, like, program-wise, I mean, if you're Princeton, it's not like Creighton's,
blue
Kentucky or Duke or
Or Arizona. Or
right.
Yeah.
That's how that worked out. Who does? Dickinson's out. That's why. Yeah, that's the big. What is the lowest seed left besides Princeton?
We're looking through it right now, Coach. Nothing terribly.
FAU's a
weird.
9 seed.
FAU is a 9. Nothing really.
I mean, at this point, I'd say FAU wasn't correctly seeded. And I know it's easy to say after the fact, but FAU's lost 3 games all year, right? And it's just looked really, really good.
Austin Hammond got me. He just, I had FAU picked, and he just talked me out of it. He said, "There's no way
That was
they're beating
Memphis,
Memphis."
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had him picked too. Now that you say that,
he said, "There's no way."
Oh, you guys got me. I should
Yeah.
have remembered that. You guys got me on this Memphis thing. It's on the tape. Watch the show.
pull up the
I said,
show.
well, I guess I'm changing everything to Memphis.
Yeah, well, Austin absolutely scoffed at me. I said FAU. He said,
Well, Memphis looked so good beating Houston the week before.
Yeah.
That was a bad draw for both those teams.
Right.
You know, really, yeah. I mean, Austin might have been right had Memphis played someone else.
FAU. Did you see at the end of that FAU versus whoever the 16 seed? Who's the team that beat Purdue?
Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yeah. Well, you see that dude that dunked at the end of that game?
Yeah.
That was
Or
dumb.
tried to, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he missed, but
I got something before we get to the rest of the bracket, though, because you both have watched it for years.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've thought about. Are you better, and this ties maybe into Memphis, they beat Houston in the conference championship. Are you better in some ways, you can maybe talk to as a player, you as a coach, to just maybe lose? Nobody ever wants to lose, but maybe lose on Friday or Saturday of that weekend, get a few days off. You're not an emotional high. You can kind of hit reset. Because I've seen over the years a lot of the teams, not all of them, but often the teams that win the whole thing on Saturday or Sunday in the conference tournament, they don't do so well the next weekend. I don't know if there's something to that.
you have more rest than practice if you're not in a conference championship, I guess.
I don't know if you're hungrier because your coach is on you because you lost the game.
Now, there was a stat last week that Mifsud was talking about, and I think Hammond agreed with him, that
You need to pick
you
the
have to
conference
be in
champion.
the semifinals was the number. If you didn't get to the conference semifinals, your chances of winning the tournament were really low. So that would go against the rest theory. Now, can you argue that that's where you want to be? Is that Saturday? Take a bow on Saturday, get that extra day of rest. I'm sure there's some good stats on that. I know back when Ohio State was really competitive, I used to worry about that. Now, it's better if you're a high seed. Where the trouble is if you're Ohio State and you play 5 games to win the thing. That's got to be tough. A lot of these teams are playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? They're getting buys now, so that's not as bad. But yeah, I don't know. There's probably not a steadfast answer to that. Every team different.
Okay.
Also, real quick, did you guys watch the Iowa State-Pittsburgh game?
Followed it. It was on. I mean, I was watching.
The worst basketball game I've ever watched in my life. It looked like 4th grade basketball being played, and I'm not even kidding.
Iowa State could not score.
Iowa
my
State
gosh.
was pitiful.
It was terrible.
Their women's team got beat too.
Yeah.
That was the talk of
miss,
my group.
turnover, miss, turnover.
Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible. I was watching it in the car, and I had Iowa State picked, and I had to turn it off
Well,
because it was
scoring
so
was
bad.
down across the board. I know I heard Scuttle over unders was the under hit 12 out of 16 on the first day.
Yeah.
If you'd bet nothing but unders, picked nothing but unders, I should say, you would have been right 12 out of 16 times. I don't know what that's about. Why scoring would be so far off.
I will give you the 8 matchups that will happen Thursday, Friday, and then you guys can go where you want. Pick the game you want to talk about. Creighton and Princeton, we already said that one. That's a 6 and a 15. Alabama, who's been quite impressive, they're a 1 against 5 San Diego State. Houston's a 1. They
Right.
play 5 seed Miami, who knocked out Indiana pretty handily. Xavier's a 3. Texas is a 2. And then as we go to the other parts of the bracket, Florida Atlantic, or FAU's Jack called them earlier. They're a 9. They'll take 4th-seeded Tennessee next. Tennessee bounced Duke. Kansas State a 3 against 7th-seeded Michigan State. Michigan State, the lone Big Ten team left. Then we have UConn, who and I was on the show last week, but a lot of the experts said UConn, which I don't know, that kind of surprised me. But they're doing well right now. They're a 4 seed. Some people picked them to get to the Final Four. Even some of the experts thought they might win it before the tournament. They're a 4. They're going to take on upstart Arkansas, who upset Kansas. Kansas is a 1. And then the other one, which is maybe the game of the weekend so far, a 2 and a 3, UCLA and Gonzaga. I think that would probably be a heck of a game. So any games you guys want to jump in, any games that perk your interest, or you have some strong feelings about?
Well, you just want to talk about them all real fast?
We can.
Let's do Alabama, San Diego State. I got the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I think so too.
They look
No
dominant.
doubt.
Well,
No doubt.
there's doubt.
I feel very strongly Alabama. 10% San Diego State. I mean, it's a long shot.
I'll give them a little bit better of a chance.
Yeah, I give
San Diego State beat last round?
They beat a
Furman, pretty sad.
Furman
Okay, yeah.
But they
They-
barely beat Charleston.
yeah.
63-57.
They're living a charm
Where
life.
according to our expert Austin Hammond, they're a really sound defensive team. I don't really trust that guy anymore after his one take. So
I'm picking
Bama, give them 13% chance to beat them.
Bama's rolling, winning double digits.
All right, what about Creighton, Princeton?
Well, I'm all over Creighton, and Creighton beat last
Baylor.
round.
Baylor.
Good win,
Yeah.
6 over 3. Yeah, I think Creighton continues to roll. I think I had them in the Elite 8 and then losing there. Yeah, I mean, you got to think Princeton runs out of steam, but it's not a given.
Yeah.
I take Creighton, but I think it's a good game.
I feel like a lot
I
of
don't
Cinderella.
I don't feel great about it.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of Cinderella stories and then the Sweet 16.
A lot.
So I'm rolling with Creighton as well.
Houston and Miami.
Houston, Miami. Houston's my national champion, so I'm going to roll with them.
So,
So is he healthy at this point? I mean, I'm watching the game, but I'm not always seeing the point guard, Sasso. Sasso?
Sasser, I believe.
Sasser. I mean, is he better? I mean, it seemed like the groin was worse, but then did it really affect him in the first 2 rounds?
It did the first round, I thought. I heard the announcer say
they
something
pulled
about
him,
it.
right?
Yeah, that he
And
was
then I
like,
thought, well, he's done for the weekend, but did he not play?
I thought he played the next
He
game.
did play the
I think
next
he
game.
did. Yeah, I mean, if Houston's full strength, Houston rolls.
Miami's dangerous, though. When they're hot, they are hot. I mean, I'm still rolling with Houston, though.
Houston, me too. Me too. Xavier and Texas. That's a 2 and a 3. I think that's another good one.
I had Xavier winning in my bracket. But I'm going to switch it to Texas because I just haven't been impressed with Xavier so far this run. They should have lost in the first round.
Ooh, pulled it out.
Kennesaw State.
They absolutely should have lost.
That was one of the more exciting finishes.
The Kennesaw State didn't score for like 5 straight minutes. And Texas, that Penn State team was legit. I feel like Penn State was a very, very good basketball team. So I think Texas is just too talented. So I'm switching my pick to the
I'm going with
Longhorns.
Texas too. All mine are kind of boring. I'm all chalk, all the higher seeds.
Yeah,
What do you
that's
think?
kind of how it gets to the Sweet 16.
I
though.
was on Xavier, but yeah, I mean, if I had to repick, I'd go Texas.
Texas, and I know it was the championship game in their league. We talked about that a few minutes ago. They blasted Kansas.
Yeah.
So
They're
The
legit.
talk was so how did that talk? We said the Big 12, or I don't know if I said it, but someone kept saying Big 12 is the best league.
Well, that's what I said, and I don't know.
That was you? Well, where do they stand? Texas
Yeah.
is still alive.
Texas, Kansas is out.
Iowa
Kansas
State
State.
was pitiful. Baylor's
Iowa
gone.
State was terrible.
Kent State's still
Kansas
there.
State,
There's
TCU
two.
should still be there, but they choked.
I'd say it's 2.
I
Feels
think
like
it
there's
was-
more mid majors this year. Is that right?
Yeah, you
Big
got-
Ten's only got 1.
you
Big
got-
12's got 2. UCLA out west. What do you got? UCLA.
well, right now the best
that's it.
league, which as a Buckeye, this pains me, is the SEC. As we just look at the field. of
Yeah, you
16,
have
what they've
Tennessee,
done.
Bama, Arkansas.
Arkansas,
Bama.
Alabama, and there's another one we're missing here. Texas. No, that's.
Well,
I don't think there is another
There's
one.
another one. There's another one. I know there's another one.
I don't think there is.
Arkansas, Tennessee.
Arkansas,
we
Tennessee,
got
and
Tennessee.
Bama.
Tennessee,
Yeah.
3 of them. And
3 of 'em.
Tennessee beat Duke.
Then
who
the
was,
ACC has Miami. Is that it? Just Miami? Ugh, not even a true ACC team.
No, just Miami, I believe.
So then there's a few mid majors there
Right.
with Creighton, FAU,
FAU.
Princeton.
I don't know what you call Gonzaga as far as
Mid-major, yeah. Not, I mean, they're not a mid-major program, but they're coming out of
I was going to say that's
not Power
that's a
5.
debating point, but
Right,
you
right,
hit
right.
it. You hit it just right. So, anyways, I'm going to go with Texas, as we just said, over Xavier. We go to the other 4 games. FAU, Florida Atlantic, a 9, takes on 4 Tennessee. Tennessee's a good team. I think maybe they peaked a little bit early, but now they've kind of found their mojo again. And they beat, Duke was a team when they had all their guys and they were young, were 18-1. So and Tennessee handled them.
Yeah.
I had a lot of people in my ear about Duke as well. Tennessee, I feel like they're now a team that if I had to pick I would guess Vegas has them like 5th, 6th, 7th most likely to win it. I'm just guessing. That would be like my team I'd pick.
Yeah, that's
not
a good pick.
crazy dark horse,
No.
but semi.
Great call by Rick. And as I look at the East, I'll even tip my hand to the Final Four. I think they're going out of the East to the Final Four. I don't think it's going to be Kansas State or Michigan State. I think Tennessee's getting to the Final Four.
I think FAU is going to beat Tennessee. That's my upset of the Sweet 16.
All right.
Austin, I'm done betting against FAU.
You're going FAU. I'm going Tennessee.
They're FAU.
Kansas State and Michigan State should be a good game. Izzo went my way where you lose in the league tournament, and then you bounce back, and he did. He's the only Big Ten team left. We're talking about Tom Izzo, the coach of the Spartans. There are 7. I don't think I would say it's average at best when we look at Izzo teams the last 20, 25 years, but they are still hanging around. They played pretty good defense. They're kind of balanced. I think they lose, though. I think Kansas State
Yeah, I'm also rolling with the Wildcats.
Yeah, and I think the prognosticators have it close. I feel probably better about Kansas State than I do some of the other teams that are maybe more highly favored.
Okay, so 3 against the 7. So I would guess Kansas State's favor, but I think
2.5 points.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
it.
All right,
There you go.
I'll lay the points if we were going
Yeah.
that route. Arkansas, who's up and down. I mean, when they're on, they're tough. They beat Kansas. They're an 8 seed. They'll take on 4th seeded UConn. It might, and I looked at this before the show a few hours ago. I think this is probably my hardest pick of the next round of games. I will still go with the higher seed, and I will take UConn.
I'm going to roll with the Razorbacks.
Okay.
If you got to do that, it's taking a shirt off and swinging around up there. Your players are going to rally behind you.
That's
So
that coach. Yeah, he was fired up.
Yeah, Arkansas, I was one of those experts. You said experts that had UConn in the Final Four. I'm one of those experts, experts at this table. And I am going to switch just as if I had to repick, I like Arkansas. I thought they were extremely impressive. I thought at times they were impressive during the year, too. So I kind of got them in the same camp as Tennessee that I think they could go on a big run.
they also just, like right when the tournament started, they got one of their best players back.
And I think that Musselman's a lot better coach than maybe his reputation.
He's good. He's
Well,
a really
yeah.
good, he's a high-level recruiter, too. But what I don't understand, I haven't watched them enough. You might know better than me, Jack or Rick, is their record's not that good. Maybe it was the injury.
Well, I was going to say that dude
Lost
didn't
like
play.
10 or 11 games.
Yeah. Oh, I think a big part of it is that guy not playing for most of the year.
Well, in the SEC, obviously,
It's
tough.
tough, yeah.
It's
I
tough.
mean, even Auburn, who's knocked out, was pretty decent.
Yeah, it's a good take.
So-
The SEC was probably the best conference this year. That sucks.
I'm going with UConn, though. But I think that's a pick that I feel the least about. Another hard one, the last one here where we go from the Sweet 16 to the Elite 8, is two UCLA, 3 Gonzaga. Oh, I'll say UCLA. I don't feel great about it, though.
I think it'll be UCLA in a dogfight. I don't think Gonzaga should be there. I rolled with the Horned Frogs, and they let me down, but they should have won that game. They should have absolutely beat Gonzaga.
Zach struggled a little bit with Grand Canyon too. I mean, it
Won
wasn't
by 12, I believe.
Yeah,
but it was
and
close.
It was just one of those games where the Zags didn't look great.
I don't think they're as good as they've been the last 3 or 4 years. But
We ever
they're
get
still
any
good.
clarification on where Grand Canyon is?
Is it at the Grand Canyon? That'll just be my
that's
guess.
Not in it. We assumed
probably
as we
not in
talked
it.
about it the other day that we don't think it's in it.
It's
but I don't
probably
think anybody ever looked it
I would
up.
say it's around. Coach JK, you got this for
like
us?
a city
I
outside
think it's in
of it.
Arizona.
That'd be a good guess. Flagstaff.
I think it is inside the Grand Canyon.
We jokingly said, is it in the Grand Canyon? I don't think it is. Some of these schools, and maybe I'm just getting old and I forget, but I'm like, man, I don't remember Grand Canyon. Is that a school that we've seen in the tournament
No,
before?
not that I ever remember.
And what we found last week on the show,
It's in Phoenix.
Or Phoenix, okay, not exactly the Grand Canyon. I mean, Phoenix to the Grand Canyon's like a 3 or 4 hour drive.
Yeah.
But okay, okay, so that makes more sense. But all these mid majors that I wondered where they were. I assume they were all in Philly, DC. They're all in the Midwest. We found out Oklahoma and Texas and Iowa got all kinds of these mid major schools that are good.
Grand Canyon's a lot more west in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But
No. Yeah, it was a different topic.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, to name yourself the Grand Canyon and be in Phoenix, that would be like us calling a college in Bellefontaine Lake Michigan. I mean, it's not that close. Okay.
Lake Michigan
Well,
Chieftains.
anyways,
There we go.
back to the Gonzaga, because Gonzaga beat Grand Canyon. That's where he was going.
Yeah.
Gonzaga, UCLA. Who do you got?
I got UCLA.
Me too.
I
That's close.
I have them to my Final Four. So I do think it'd be. I think any team that plays Gonzaga, it's close. I feel like there's just never a team that you blow them out.
Very
Besides
well-
Baylor that one year.
Very well coached.
Two really well coached teams. I mean, Cronin and Mark Few. That I think it's the toughest game. It's the game that if you made me do one of those, they call them confidence picks, where I get 8 picks and I have to be most confident the least. It would be my least confident. Flip a coin. I'm gonna go UCLA.
UCLA across
not
the board.
feel great about it.
That's not good if it's across the board because Kent State was across the board
Yeah.
and they flopped. They haven't played very good.
No, I got to quit listening to you guys on my
Yeah.
All right, now we'll go from 8 to 4. Maybe
Okay.
next week we'll do what it looks like for the Final Four and the finals. 8 to 4. I think all of us have Bama and Creighton. I'm taking Bama.
I'm also rolling with the Crimson Tide. I think they're probably the best team in basketball. I don't think they're going to win the whole thing because I don't like them, but I think they're probably the best team. They just have been dominant so far.
Bama's playing Houston for the title.
That's a good call.
I don't know.
That's
Houston.
a good call. I think he's right.
I think he's right too, but
think
Houston
he's right.
scares me a little bit.
I think he's right, though. You think of Bama as obviously the football school, but
Can you imagine how insufferable these Bama fans? I mean, we don't have them around here, but imagine how insufferable they'll
it'd
be
be
after
tough.
this. Jeez.
it'd be tough. But, they've proven, which I'm getting off the rails here a little bit, they've proven to me, this is an old line that always bothers me. You're a football school, you're a basketball school. If you're a really big school and you have a little bit deep pockets, you can be both. It's like Ohio State. They'll never be great. And I know you talked about the Mata years on a show a few weeks ago. They should be better.
Now, you said the deep pockets, so does that have anything to do with this success?
Well, you're going to NIL for one.
well, it might. I don't know.
And maybe getting an elite coach. I mean,
Yeah, but Nate Oates was an elite coach.
no,
I mean,
he
they didn't
wasn't.
go buy
No,
a coach.
They didn't buy one, but he's done a great job. And
Well, no
he's-
doubt. Yeah, it's it definitely. And we've talked about Ohio State. I agree. There's no such thing as a football school, basketball school. Now there are schools, certainly historically, 6 or 7 of them that Ohio State will struggle to pass, and Bama's not passing them either. Bama's not going to suddenly pass Kentucky, but for a year or 2, 3 year run, they could.
Yeah. So, anyways, we got Bama, and we got Bama into the Final Four over
Yep.
Creighton.
I think we all agree
The other
there.
part of the bracket, it will be, I think we're all the same here, Houston against Texas. So an all-Texas regional final, I got Houston.
That is tough. Houston at times has not impressed me. The first round they didn't impress me.
I don't think they play in a great league, but I think they are really good at everything on the basketball court. They're good offensively, they're quick, and they're very good defensively. I think
They did look pretty good against Auburn though.
so. I think Houston beats Texas to get to the national semis
I'm rolling with Houston too, but it's very, very, very close game.
with Texas.
Yes.
Texas gives them all they want.
One of the
Okay.
best coaches in the tournament, Kelvin Sampson. Yep, no doubt.
Yeah, he is.
You say no doubt? Like
Well,
actually no
he is.
doubt?
No, he's
No,
great.
not no.
I was
Okay,
gonna say,
not no doubt.
that's
but
bold.
just, I feel strong about
Yeah,
it.
he's
Okay.
really good. I agree with Rick. Got for me, we got a little dissension here. I
Yeah,
got
here we go.
Tennessee. You got FAU. Tennessee playing Kansas State. I think Tennessee gets to the Final Four.
I'm going with Kansas State. Magic runs out. Well, I don't know if it's magic. I think they're just actually good. But I think Kansas State will just, I don't know. I just got a good feeling about Kansas State.
It's possible. That bracket's kind of
It's wonky.
I mean, we got a 3 and a 7 and a 4 and a 9. So there's no wow,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a tough call. Not nearly as confident, but Tennessee.
Okay, all right.
Another good coach. I mean, we're getting a lot of these experienced guys that have been in 20 tournaments. at this point, if not more.
Rick Barnes. He's been around for a long time. I've got UConn and UCLA. And this is a hard bracket. It's the West. We got all kinds of different picks here. You have, I think, Arkansas over UConn.
Yep, I have
You
UCLA
picked
and
Arkansas
Arkansas.
over UConn.
Yep.
I don't think anybody picked Gonzaga. They could get to the Final Four. That wouldn't be any big stretch. But I've got UConn and UCLA. I'll pick UCLA, and I don't feel great about it.
I have UCLA and Arkansas, and I like UCLA. I think if they get past Gonzaga, I think they were getting to the Final Four.
I rolled with UConn to begin with. There's no reason to change.
All right. So we're down to the Final Four. You want to keep going? Pick a
Why
champ?
not? We're almost there.
We could be wrong and just redo it next week.
I got Bama versus Kansas State in my Final Four, and I'm rolling with the Crimson Tide there.
I've got Bama and Tennessee. Bama.
SEC showdown.
I got Bama and the eliminated Marquette, so obviously sticking with Bama.
Well, I mean, what we're doing here.
Right.
You have
right,
Bama,
right.
Tennessee.
I have Bama, Tennessee. I'll still roll with Bama. I got you.
So we're all kind of the
I
same.
want to point out that I had Bama all along.
Yeah.
Okay,
They've been great. I've got, as we do it right now, UCLA and Houston. This is like old school, like in the 60s with Lou Alcindor, and I think it was like Elgin Baylor, like before all of us were born, kind of. But I'm going with Houston. Houston against Bama for me, a 1 against a 1. What do you got?
Nail biter. I kind of want to pick UCLA just to be different, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with Houston and a nail biter.
This is the first time.
Before he goes, though, I have to interject real quick. Houston, if they get to the Final Four, that's where it's at, by the way.
It's in Houston, yeah.
So go ahead, sir.
First time, maybe in a long time, I'm not in a big money bracket, and I've never felt so confident that I've got the finals nailed. Houston over Bama. I mean, I feel like I'm seeing it clearly.
Okay, so
We'll
you got
see.
Houston over Bama. So
It'll
you
be
got
bittersweet when I'm right.
you got
Don't win that
Houston,
much money.
Houston over UCLA, then, right?
No, Houston over Bama.
Well,
yeah. Houston over UCLA and then beat Bama.
All right.
Cutting the nets.
Yeah, so he's
At home.
Yeah, at home. So, and I agree, Houston over UCLA in the national semis. Houston wins the whole thing. Who you got winning the whole thing?
Houston. All right, I had them from the start, and I'm rolling with them. Even though I'm not confident in that because they scare me at times, but Houston.
Okay. Do you feel that there's like any great teams left, or a couple teams where you're like you'd be pretty surprised if they lose? Like I look at the Bama bracket, I don't see them losing before they get to the national semis.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Bama didn't make the Final Four, but
I don't know if college basketball produces great teams. I mean, when you say great teams, then I think then we're now comparing them to years past. I don't ever look at the product that we watch and say,
Right, it's
this,
different.
this is as good as it
Maybe I
used to
didn't
be.
word it correctly. Not great teams, but teams that are superior to the rest of the field. Where if they don't get to the Final Four, you'd be like, I'm
Houston and Bama.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's clearly the two best.
They are to me. I feel confident. I mean, I'm sure I'm wrong, but that's how I feel.
my biggest thing with Houston is they got to go through Texas, and Texas is Bama has such an easy path. San Diego State, and then who would they play?
Creighton or Princeton. They got
Yeah.
a great
Yeah,
bracket
that's such an
right
easy
now.
Yeah, that is.
And then
great.
Houston's got to go through a tough Miami team, and then
Yeah.
an even
Yeah.
tougher Texas
or
team.
Xavier.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Texas, either or is tough. I think Texas will win that game, but it beat Xavier as in. But
Okay. Any other thoughts, guys, before we get to Bellefontaine Deca on our show? You might have something else in sports. You both love sports. Anything else on your mind this week?
Hey, did you see who the Browns picked up?
yeah, the
Elijah
Elijah
Moore.
Moore from the Jets.
Oh,
Bad pickup.
What? Yeah, just so average. I mean, he's just
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Jeez.
I just don't see. I don't know. I heard the Browns were going after Jerry Jeudy. And I thought, okay, this would be the kind of guy you bring in. Then you'd say we got significantly better.
I think it's a good pickup. I think him, Elijah Moore.
disgruntled. I mean, wasn't he the guy that was complaining a lot last year
With the
With
Jets,
the Jets,
yeah.
I believe so. Was saying he didn't get the ball enough and
is that
stuff.
him
Dude's
or
never
Robbie
made a play.
Anderson? No.
That might have been a few years ago.
Yeah,
Robbie
Robbie
Anderson's
Anderson's
complaining
been-
too.
he's been
Was
at the
Chosen
Panthers for a
Anderson is
while.
his name now.
Yeah,
Changed his name to
Chosen. That's so weird.
My bad.
Chosen Anderson after he had 2 receptions the last 10
I'm a
games.
huge
Chosen to
fan
be
of the-
unemployed
I'm-
because
I'm
he
a-
does not have a team.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the draft. I'll just ask you one question about it, which is still about 5 weeks out. NFL draft, that is. Is C.J. Stroud the first pick of the draft?
I think that's where it's trending.
Yeah,
I hope they don't draft. I mean, we talked about this, I think, at one point last week before. I would hope they didn't draft up to reach on a guy, and everyone else is a reach. I mean, maybe Bryce Young, I can listen to that. But if you trade up to number 1 to take Will Levis, dude that couldn't cut it at another Power 5 school, or Anthony Richardson, who's
They're not
certainly,
taking that,
I mean,
yeah. No way.
it would be stunning to me. So I would bet everything that it's C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young.
Yeah.
One of those two.
I agree with that. I would.
But you're hearing those other two guys, and I might sound like, well, yeah, obviously. But I constantly read stuff about the other two guys.
I'll throw a dark horse about, because I think he's elite, even though he didn't have as good of a year last year as he did back in 21, about Will Anderson.
Well,
They want
now
trade
you're going a
out.
whole different direction. But, yeah, I mean, I can't speak to that as much. Now, did you see Jackson Smith and Jigba ran a 4.45?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's
a first-round pick.
yeah. Well, there was talk that he was going to fall the first round. He's not falling out of
he's
the top
first.
15 picks.
No, you're right. Stroud.
Bears all over Ohio State Pro Day today. Did you see that? Bears had eight representatives from the Bears were at Ohio State Pro Day.
But Stroud, Paris Johnson, offensive tackle, and receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba, all top 15 picks.
Yeah.
I agree.
I wish we could have watched JSN and Marvin Harrison. It would have been so.
Yeah.
We would have beat Georgia if
Yeah,
either or of those guys. Like
Yeah, Marvin didn't go
it
out.
doesn't go out, or if we have JSN, it might beat them by 2 touchdowns. But
If the Bucks had JSN, do they beat Michigan?
Different kind of game.
yeah, we probably wouldn't have used them. We just coached so poorly that game. We probably would have had JSN and Marvin Harrison and let's
Not
get the
throw the
ball
ball.
to Billy Joe or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Guys, have a good week.
All right, Tips.
Take a break, come back and talk with Bellefontaine High School DECA. It is Chieftain Roll Call. More after this.
This is Trey Daring at Eichholz Daring and Sanford Funeral Homes and Cremation Center. We are committed to providing professional, tailored funeral and cremation services at affordable pricing. We are part of a community for caring individuals, friends, and neighbors who consider it a privilege to serve you in your time of need. We are proud to be locally owned and operated. Our family serving your family since 1903.
Go Chiefs!
Foresight Insurance and Financial Services is a locally owned and operated financial services provider for the state of Ohio, focusing our efforts on serving the residents of Logan County and surrounding counties. We are located at 1653 US 68 North Bellefontaine. Foresight can help you with all your retirement needs. We specialize in assisting with pension options. We also offer business planning, charitable gifting strategies, as well as life and health insurance. Call today at 937-595-5002. Foresight Insurance and Financial Services, in the business of planning life.
Hello, this is Luke Varner from Easton Water Solutions. How is your water? Does your water need improved? Put my 23 years of experience to work for you. Give me a call today, Luke Varner, Easton Water Solutions, 592-8379.
Royer Realty, we value our clients and provide quality, professional services to Logan County and surrounding areas. Founded in 1988, our company prides itself on unique experiences that you can only find with us. Our area knowledge and negotiating expertise helps buyers and sellers achieve their goals. When you buy or sell with Royer Realty, you can use our moving truck free. Royer Realty, the realtors you know and trust.
Go Chiefs!
Welcome back to Chieftain Roll Call. We switch gears from March Madness or NCAA men's basketball to Bellefontaine High DECA. Chieftain Roll Call is sponsored by Easton Water Solutions on South Main and Bellefontaine. And a lot of times we have different sports teams on, but sometimes we have student organizations. It might be a band. It might be a musical. Tonight, for the first time since Chieftain Roll Call started over a year ago, it's Bellefontaine High School DECA. Jake Kennedy is here. He's a Bellefontaine alum. He is the DECA teacher and took over for Katie Rickner, who moved on last year and really did a great job. We have Zach Horvath, who's a young star. A lot of people know him from his work, maybe behind the scenes, covering a lot of sporting events. But he's a DECA star. He's going to the Nationals. And DECA has 3 levels. I already talked to Jake about this off air. You want to first compete at the district level, which I think this year for Bellefontaine was at the University of Findlay. You want to move on to state from there, and then if you're fortunate enough, move on to nationals, and that's what Zach did. Zach won a state title a couple of weeks ago. Jake, first of all, thanks for coming on. I know usually we talk about Bellefontaine football. Maybe we'll squeeze in a little bit at the end. But for my question is going to be pretty easy for you, I think, and that is, what is DECA? Not every school has DECA. You know, how if you ran into your neighbor or your mom or somebody, they were asking about your job, and you said, "I'm the DECA teacher." Well, they probably say, "What is that?" So I'm going to ask that. What is DECA?
Well, to me, if I was in that situation, I would explain it as basically a business organization for kids to use a platform to excel in multiple facets of business. There's marketing, finance, there's all kinds of sections of DECA. Basically, it just hits every piece of the business world, and it gives them that opportunity outside of the classroom to gain experience through like role plays and projects and networking and things like that.
So great hands-on experience.
Yes.
Real life experience. Now, do all your business students, because you're a teacher here, are all of them in DECA or not necessarily?
That's a little bit tricky. Technically, all my students are DECA members, but that doesn't mean that they necessarily have to go compete.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
All
They
right.
have that option through the class, but sometimes things don't work out that way.
Schedule too,
Yeah.
because these things are going to be after school hours. How many DECA kids from Bellefontaine High this year competed, starting out like at the district level?
There was 14.
Okay.
14 kids.
Okay. Then how many went to state?
There was, let's see, there was 7 that competed at state.
And that was in Columbus.
Yep.
And then moving on to nationals was Zach, which I think his title was, or the discipline was Business Growth Plan.
Yep.
And we'll ask him about that in a minute. To move on to nationals, do you have to win state? Like, what if you get second in the state?
You don't have to win state, so it's a little bit different. For the written events, it was a top 4.
Yep.
Right, and then role plays, which is like your individual, your team series, those were top 5. So top 4, top 5, depending on the event that you were in.
Well, your first year as a teacher in DECA is almost over. We have about 9 weeks of school left, and I know that you hit the ground running. It's been super busy. What's it been like? What do you know now? Maybe you didn't know back in August.
It's way more than I had bargained for. I'll start with that. I knew it was going to be a lot of extra stuff outside of the classroom, but I didn't really realize like the extent of everything. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, as far as fundraising and having to do things outside the classroom, submit paperwork and things like that. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, and Miss Rickner, obviously, she was the one who recommended me for the position, and she made it seem like, oh, you're going to be fine. But it's tough. It is. I'll be honest. And I've struggled, but I think I've gotten better. And I think, for a couple more years, I'm going to struggle with it. But
That's part of being a new teacher
Yeah.
too. I mean, I think that that's just it's a rewarding job, but it's a hard job. It takes some time to really hone in. I mean, that's life. There's nothing better than that experience. You know that as an athlete
Right.
too, how you get better with time and repetitions and that kind of stuff. I'll give you this question, which is a chance to sell DECA, sell your program, maybe other middle school kids or maybe even a high school kids watching or their mom or dad. Why should they go into it? And I'll ask him this well, but like, what do they get out of it, you think?
you get interaction out of it. And I think for high school kids, that is the best part of it. I mean, the ability to go outside of your norm, right? I mean, you're used to your sciences, your maths, your social studies.
Mm-hmm.
This is just, it's different. Even if you're not going into business, it's, widening your horizon, I guess you could say. It's something that you don't get with your typical classroom experience. You're leaving, you're going on trips, you have to sell your weight in fundraising. You have to talk to people, you have to get to know people. I mean, the whole world is revolved around business. And I think if you want to be a go-getter and you want to go get things done in life, I mean, business, that's the route you want to go. Especially, I mean, high school kids get the chance at Bellefontaine. I think it's really important to do it. Honestly, I mean, it's just
Use it.
different.
If you're a young person listening or watching, use it. If you're in
Yeah.
7th or 8th grade, use it. Squeeze everything out of the school that you
For sure.
that can get all the experiences out of you that you can, and even just give it a try. I'll ask you this too. I mean, you're known for your athletics, as a player now a coach. Do they somewhat intertwine? Or is there things that you use maybe from a past football player or a football coach that you apply to DECA, and things that maybe you've taken away from DECA that will help you be a better coach?
Well, I would, to be simple with that answer, everything I've ever learned related to coaching or teaching has been from playing football. So just about everything. I mean, before I played football, I don't know. I don't know what I'd be.
Okay.
So, yes.
Well, I guess a couple things that would, I'm guessing here, would stick out to me would be like preparation.
Yeah.
You better be prepared when you go to a DECA competition, no different than when you go out to coach a football game
Yeah,
on a Friday
exactly.
night.
There's a lot of similarities.
So what
with
do you
coaching.
do to get ready? What did the kids do to get ready for that district in this state, and now in a few weeks the nationals? What's it take? Like, what happens in class? Maybe what they do even outside of class after the school day to get ready?
Well, this year has been a little bit tricky because the majority of the students are taking CCP classes online. So they have to be able to balance their schoolwork through CCP and they're through Clark State, and they sit in there on their blackboard and get their work done.
It's college credit plus.
Yep.
So yeah, they're getting college credits.
Yeah. And they have to be able to balance that with, if they're kids that are doing like role plays, they got to be doing a couple role plays a week to get ready for their role play at districts. Or if they have a written project they got to turn in, they got to be working on their paper. So it's just finding that balance to be successful. And Zach's done a nice job because he was in class last semester where I was actually able to teach it. Now he's in as a teacher's teacher's assistant. That way he can really focus on his business and what he's got to get done. So he has a ample amount of time.
Well, he is a state champ, and when you found out that he won, what was your reaction?
I freaked out. Honestly, I made it a bigger deal than maybe it was, but to me it is a big deal. And I remember, and I like walked up when he was going up to the stage, and I'm sitting there getting ready to take a picture, and I had no idea what to expect. I'm like, I don't know, 15% chance he wins state, just because like to me that's a big deal. Like I got no clue, and I'm sitting there taking pictures, and he doesn't get called for third, he doesn't get called for second, and I'm like, oh gosh, he's not even gonna make it. And they called his name for first, and I like scared people underneath me because they're all sitting down, and I'm like standing above them, and I'm freaking out. All the kids are freaking out. You can hear him in the back screaming, and he's excited. It was special for sure.
What does make Zach special?
He's a go-getter. He's got a hustle and a grind about him that I wish I had when I was that age. I was the polar opposite. I was lazy, and he's a go-getter. He wants to be successful, and that's why he's at where he's at.
Okay. Well, Zach, you're a state champ. So first thing I want to say is congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Your disciplinary area was business growth plan. You and your brother have a company, Horvath Productions, which has been around for a while now. How long?
Would have been a year in December.
Okay, so a little over a year. We'll talk about your company in a minute, but what is business growth plan? What are they looking for, and why did you ultimately come out on top?
Yeah, so what's very unique about my my event with DECA is that you have to be an owner of an LLC.
So you have to be a business owner?
Yes, and that's the only DECA event that I know of that is like that. And basically what a business growth plan is in the sense of we have an established company. What is our 5-year expansion opportunities? What are some of the things that we can do to grow our revenue, grow our profit streams and everything like that, and expand as a company as a whole. So it has real world applications with this event because the businesses actually exist, which usually raises the competition level a little bit higher.
So what is the growth plan? What were you touting or putting on paper? I don't know if this is something where on paper where you talk to a judge, but what were the things, the 2 or 3 elements where you touted the growth? Where you're projecting the growth?
I'm not going to go into huge detail on a few things just because of competition within the industry, but a few of our big market points are weddings, definitely our sports content, our high school sports content. I want to expand that to more schools. So those are definitely our 2 biggest things. And then the third one is commercial opportunities that we're kind of starting to push into also.
Horvath Productions, would you say that's a video company?
Yeah, videography. Yep. I'd say that's what I'd define us as. Maybe a little bit of media production too, so a little bit reporting news,
Give
things
like
like
half
that.
the trophy to Michael. I know he's a Bellefontaine.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I mean, does he? I know he's been away at school,
Yeah.
so is it truly? And he's your brother, by the way. It's Michael and Zach Horvath.
Right,
This is
right.
Zach with us. Is it 50-50, or there's times where you really dive into it,
So-
maybe other times he dives into it?
Me and Michael had the mutual agreement when we started the company that I was going to do a lot of the front loading just because he's in Nashville working on an audio engineering major. So that, me and him have had that mutual understanding, but he's been back now and he works on more of the finances and things like that. So a little bit more of the back end.
You're in the entertainment business. The first thing about that is you don't get to work 8 to 5. They're not going to make the football game for Tuesday morning at 10 for Zach Horvath. It's going to be Friday night. So you got to love what you do. That's what I'm
I
saying
do.
with this.
Yeah.
So what do you love about that kind of work?
So for the sports stuff, the biggest thing is creating memories. That's kind of the biggest thing that me and my brother are into doing. I feel like, especially here at Bellefontaine, I saw a huge gap. And it's actually a big thank you to Luke Varner. He actually called me asking to do these types of videos when I was still working at the radio station. So it's actually, the whole thing kind of got rolling. We were talking about starting our own company for a while, but the whole thing really did get rolling because of Luke Varner kind of really stepping up and helping us out and really helped us achieve what we wanted to do. But yeah, the biggest thing with our sports videos is like just creating that memory. And honestly, people would rather go back and watch an 8-minute little highlight reel of the game than watching the full hour-and-a-half thing. When they want to go back and relive their high school days, they want to see a unique perspective that we kind of create with our videos.
Field level usually?
Yep. And that's another part of that unique perspective part is a sense of we have huddles. Sometimes I mic up coaches. That's another big thing that we do a lot. I get players talking, and then at the end of the year, we interview players, and it really kind of gives that insight into Chieftain football.
It's a human interest.
Right, absolutely. Yep.
Capturing the human moment. It's kind of funny to say this. Jake's way younger than I am, but he's still been out of high school for almost 8 years now. And then I'm a guy that grew up in the 80s. To think about something like this when I was a kid, or even him. I mean, think about this. This really wasn't around when
if I was a senior.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been the fall of 2014, which isn't that long ago, but it just didn't exist. So it's a niche market.
Yeah.
And I'll have him maybe talk as a former player or a coach now. But what do you? I know it's your guy, and it's a Bellefontaine team he's capturing, but just take that away. Maybe if he worked at followed the Sydney Yellow Jackets, let's say we're going to take him out of the box for a second. What's that mean to what he does for the kids and the players and the coaches?
It's exactly what he said. I mean, I'm not a big dude, like close the yearbook. I'm not like a huge guy with high school sports, but like he's exactly right where I don't want to go back and watch a bunch of games, but when I think back to my senior year, it's like it'd be awesome to go back and here's
the
a
clips.
4 or 5 minute highlight that he made of each game or whatever. Like it's awesome what he's doing. I mean, yeah, I just think back, all my friends even, I mean, we would have loved having something like that when we were playing. It's special. And
now you kind of opened the door, And I know another company, I think it's more east of here, is Storied Rivals.
And that's what Luke called me about, was mentioning that, is that they saw what happened in 2017. Storied Rivals has had Tri-Valley probably since the beginning of their opening 13 years ago. And they covered our game in 2017.
Bellefontaine,
Yep, because the Tri-Valley was their team. And that is something that team especially appreciates. I mean, even though they didn't come out with a win, imagine if they did, though.
Got to the state
How
finals.
huge that would have been.
They were a dark horse, though.
Right.
I think Bellefontaine was actually the 1 seed in that region. I know they were.
Yeah, we were heavily favored, I think. I don't think it was supposed to,
So, but not only just the Bellefontaine, when they beat, I think, Hartley, beat Akron, the same area.
Yeah.
And that was the point is that was captured. And it's like once you give somebody that's great in their life or they appreciate in their life, it's not going away. I can promise you that. Just think about, we take the internet for granted now, or the phone, but take it away. No, don't take it away. So this is something that's going to take off, I think. Maybe you're kind of a Bellefontaine area. You'll expand some, but there's going to be one in Toledo, one in Cleveland. Do you see that?
Yeah.
If you talk to other colleagues?
The biggest thing right now is Storied Rivals was in a very unique environment because, like I said, they started 13 years ago, and you got, even when he was a senior, that was unheard of. That's why Storied Rivals was a crazy thing what they were doing just even 5 years ago. It's a little bit different now in the sense of a lot of kids my age are in videography, which is great. It's a very in-demand market. The biggest thing that we want to offer to schools is a consistency. I mean, there's kids that'll show up and record games, and then they get bored and they have something to do on Friday night. We're legit, and that's kind of where I'm marketing.
So you don't in the last 2 seasons, the fall of 22, the fall of 21, did you ever miss a Chieftain game?
No, I have not missed a football game.
You're always there.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. What do you get out of it? I mean, you're still a very young guy. You're a senior at Bellefontaine. How you go to kids, you go to school with, the Sullivan Ashcraft, the Hayden Manns. What do you get out of it? What's it like to be you around these guys you're videoing?
Well, the biggest thing for me, personally is that they're my friends, so I'm capturing something that they're going to remember forever. And I know we'll probably be watching on a porch here in 30 years or whatever, right?
No doubt about it.
Still talking about that,
No doubt about it.
that Granville catch that I have recorded 30 years from now. I'm sure we'll be talking about it. I mean,
You had to bring it up.
I'm gonna get out of here.
but yeah, that's really the biggest thing right now, and the happiness I see that's created. The biggest thing that like really showed the impact for me this year was a scoreboard video that we had played at the beginning. The amount of recognition that gave us from people that aren't necessarily on social media. There's a lot of older fans of Chieftain football that don't really mess around with Facebook or Instagram, but they see that for the first time and it feels like they're at an Ohio State game. Those are the types of things I want to create for every high schooler.
I'm learning about DECA as we do this show.
Yeah.
I knew some of it from Katie Rickner. We would talk occasionally, but I've never been to a state competition. When you won, do they tell you why, or maybe you have a feeling even before they announce it? Like, what are they looking at? Why do you think you won? I don't know if the judge gave you a definitive answer.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just your heart, but why did you win?
So what's interesting about it is that we just get a rubric, right?
Yeah.
And it's just scoring. And so do we know what we scored in each section, or
No.
do they not tell you that?
They're very bland with.
So you never really exactly find out why you won? Is that a fair
Not
statement?
necessarily. Like, for example, so there's two portions to the presentation. They score you 60 points. So it's out of 100 points. 60 points are on your 20-page paper. 40 points are on your
20-page paper?
Yeah, 40 points are on your presentation.
That's what they don't grade. They don't grade the paper, but they did
give
give
it.
him,
Okay.
Yeah. So he got a presentation rubric, but his paper, he had no idea.
Now, I did get 60 out of 60 on the paper, so according to them, it was flawless. I mean, I don't know if that's actually true or not, but that's what they scored it. I mean, I don't know.
So there's the paper element, the written element, I guess we'll say, and then the presentation. And when you're presenting, do you like actually bring up like video clips of
Yeah.
Horvath? Okay.
Yeah, which I think actually gave me a pretty big edge was I showed it a 1.5 minute long video of like everything that we
something
do.
tangible.
Yeah, and that was I think they liked that a lot, was showing them what we're actually doing instead of just talking about it, So yeah, that was definitely the big thing.
Do you think that DECA will or has already helped your business?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me about DECA is the competition side of it. I like a lot of academic organizations, which they're still great, don't necessarily have a competitive edge to them in the sense of they're kind of participation based, which is okay. That's great. Like if you don't do good, you didn't do good, and you're not going on. Just like sports. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that sports teach, and
advance. Yeah.
DECA does a good job of teaching that too. If you don't do good, you don't go on.
When you went to the first competition this school year, which was the district at the University of Findlay, how'd you do?
I actually wasn't there because my event stayed only, and I think I had a meeting that day. I would have competed in another event or whatever, but yeah, I only competed at the state level this year.
How did you get there without?
So not a lot of kids in Ohio own an LLC, so it's hard to get a bunch of kids in a district to actually subsidize to, you know what I mean?
How about the state last year? How did you do?
Third in state last year. Yep.
Looking back, was that fair? I mean, do you see a difference from last year to this year?
So my paper is very similar to the one last year, but I don't think I did the best on the presentation last year. So that definitely, I think, is probably what kept me from getting first last year. So yeah, I definitely walked in and improved this year.
All right. Well, let's shift gears. By the way, what are you doing after you graduate in a couple of
I
years?
plan on going to Ohio State to get a marketing degree and then keep working on it.
Right,
Keep working on the business until then.
All right. Now, we want to talk next 10 minutes or so before we wrap up Chieftain Roll Call. We want to talk about the national competition, which is Orlando, Florida. Jake will be there as a teacher. I think your mom's going on her own dime as, mom. I don't know if she's got any DECA role, but she'll be there, I believe. And then we have a few kids.
Yeah, I think she's a chaperone.
Yeah,
is that the
she's a
official
chaperone.
name?
Okay.
Is that the official
She's
name?
not like a DECA teacher or advisor.
No.
So I don't want to downplay her, but she's a chaperone, I guess, the right title.
And a fan.
Big fan. Who else is going?
So Zach will be the only one competing. Then there is Marco Martinez and Alec Miller. Those two are actually 2 spots away from qualifying for nationals. So they're essentially alternates for the next few weeks. If a team they need 2 teams to drop out, then they'll go in.
Is that very likely, or that's unlikely?
With it being at Orlando, absolutely not. If it would have been like last year was in Atlanta, there was probably more of that. Like, no offense to Atlanta, but more people want to go to Orlando.
Unlikely, though.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And then
Keep
there,
our fingers crossed.
Yep. And then there's 4 kids that are going for the leadership conference called Ignite. That's Lily Palmer, Maddie Williams, Keegan Overton, and who am I missing?
Mia?
And Mia Oppie.
Oppie?
Yep.
Okay.
And all of them but Zach will be going it's called Ignite Conference, and it's basically like a leadership business summit, essentially, to get some
The dates.
knowledge.
The dates of this trip.
April 22nd.
Through the 25th.
We'll leave through the 25th. Yep.
Okay. Now we want to. This is where the community comes in, which I know you've already had some donors, but you need donors.
Yeah.
And you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
like
a quick turnaround.
Like a
That's
month.
where it's yeah.
Ish.
I mean, that's
So-
all I think about when I wake up. And when I go to bed
How
is
much
fundraising.
money do you need?
We need almost $1,000 a kid. We've made a lot of leeway with that so far, but that's where we're at. The last 2 days have been big. We've had a lot of donors. There was 4 of my high school friends reached out today and donated $100. So roughly, I'd say like $3 to $4 more $1,000, and we'll be in the right direction.
We'll say 5 just to cover bases.
Okay,
Here.
yeah.
Okay. You guys probably have a good
5 or
time.
10.
But how do they donate?
So right now we're doing a sponsor package. Miss Rickner has done this the last few years for nationals, and it's awesome. It's easy. Basically, they can donate for the bronze, silver, or gold package. Bronze is $100, silver is $300, and gold $600. Each comes with a bigger form of advertisement, essentially. So the bronze is you get your name on social media, and you get your name in small print on our team crew necks and hoodies. And then onto the silver package, you get a bigger size on our banner and bigger name on our shirts too. And then gold is even bigger, essentially. And we'll be carrying the banner around throughout Orlando, taking pictures. Because, without the donations and the sponsors, we wouldn't be able to do anything.
Do they call the school? Do they email you?
A lot of it's just based on the kids or me or Miss Horvath, just reaching out to your people. And the best way is to send a check to the high school, at Bellefontaine High School, attention DECA. That's been the
555 East Lake Avenue
Yep.
would be the address. Okay.
Yep.
So you need, but you do need money
Yeah,
the next
absolutely.
few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. You've already made some headway.
Yeah, we
I
have.
remember covering a story on this just I don't know, I think it was a story about his state title and the DECA kids, which wasn't that long ago, maybe about 7 days ago. So you've made some headway in the last week. So good for you. What do you, you can both answer this. What do you think it'll be like at the Nationals? A little different. You got to compete.
He knows.
He'll be advising, coaching.
Yeah.
But what do you think it'll be like?
That's a better question for him, probably. I've never been there.
All right.
So the thing that's funny about nationals is that it's super calm until you get down to the competition
I
area.
was gonna say.
It's a very calm setting until there's just one area of the whole convention center that people are competing in, and it's just super frantic down there. It's a good time. I haven't been in any of the academies. Marco actually attended that last year, and I think he enjoyed it. The biggest thing last year about Atlanta is that I think it took place in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the whole thing, and then there's a convention center connected to it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of what went on with that.
The Atlanta Falcons.
But yep. So it is different than state. There's a lot. There's definitely a more serious vibe.
Ohio's, just looking at the numbers, is the 7th biggest state. So if you could win something in Ohio, you're going to be, I would guess, amongst the best in the nation, and whatever it is.
Right.
Do you have that confidence that you should be at least in the mix?
So I think obviously, like I said, I don't know if my paper is perfect. I don't think it is by any means, but DECA thought so. Now, of course, they're volunteer judges, so maybe they saw something or maybe I see something that they don't. So I think my paper is very solid, so it's going to be basically showing up and doing what I need to do when it comes to the presentation side of things.
Does Michael go, or you can't go because
No, this is high school only, yeah. So
he's too old.
right. So yeah, it's basically just gonna be me presenting my plan for 15 minutes. I think I go twice. I don't know.
Will you role play it all with him? Maybe act like you're a judge the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think the judge will want to know, or what are in your mind? He might know as well, but what will they ask? I know they have the rubric, but do they ask you to describe your business? Do they put you through some scenarios like, a pandemic hits, now what do you do? I mean, what will they do? Do you know?
Yeah, well, basically, they're looking for just his confidence and delivery with the whole thing.
Right. He'll be fine,
his
then.
layout's really good, so
Okay, he's going to be fine.
yeah.
Okay. All right. And you're really swamped here in the school year, but I'm going to take you to summertime, moving ahead to next fall. What do you want to tweak or improve for year 2 in DECA? I'm sure now you've gotten a base of what it is and so forth. What are you looking for next year?
I just want to get overall better. I want hopefully get 6 to 8 more kids to join DECA. I think there's some untapped potential with some of our kids. So I want to grow DECA, obviously, and I want to just get better with the organization of things. I think that's what I'm lacking right now, and I think that's why I'm kind of like chasing tail a little bit with the fundraising and stuff like that.
It'll come.
And I'll know next year. Some of the things that happened this year was just like rookie mistakes.
Do you have a mentor teacher here, or any other mentors? Like, is Katie, is Miss Rickner still key?
Her, yeah, she's been phenomenal with me. Honestly, this whole year, anytime I've been jammed up or had questions, she'll talk my ear off, which is good for me, and she's been terrific.
Okay.
So
all right. And if you could go back in time about 10, 11 years, would you be a DECA kid and really go after? I mean, do you see the value now?
Well, no, that's why I mentioned about Zach is I was like lazy in high school.
But if you could go back in time,
oh heck yeah, I would have. I did DECA my junior year, and then my senior year, I had like what Keegan Overton has right now, the worst case of senioritis I think ever. I hope Keegan hears this because he knows it.
He's going to the conference though. So
yeah, and hopefully that wakes him up a little bit. But I was just real lazy and kind of just wanted to get by. I wasn't even sure about playing college football or going to college. But this is a great avenue to go down if you want to be pushed to get that competitive edge.
Real life.
Yeah,
real
absolutely. Life. It's terrific. It's a great program.
Might be different than like any you can speak to it, but it might be different than any other class in the school.
Yeah,
Is
it's
there
not
anything
even
else like
close.
it, or-
No, it's not even close. Yeah, there's how I want it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a unique experience. Are there any schools that you go to and they just have huge DECA, like, I don't know, 40 kids? I mean, maybe it's a really big school, but is there that kind of a program out there?
The big one would be Lima. Lima's got 3 different chapters, so they have 3 teams. Obviously, we have one
Lima
here.
senior year?
Yeah, which are a big school, but still, though, their participation is crazy.
All right.
They had like 108
Wow,
DECA
okay.
Yeah,
kids. I mean, it's crazy.
Wow.
No, I don't know how they do all that. The biggest problem that we face here is scheduling conflicts, trying to get kids in. A lot of kids, there's just so much things capturing attention.
Is DECA all the same like period of the day, same time, same class time? Or
Yeah, so basically I teach all the marketing segments, 1, 2, and 3, 4 of the day in the mornings, and most of the time blocks are what take up those like core curriculum that you need. So it is tricky.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You didn't know you were going to do football until when? Like April, May? When did you finally? As your senior?
I'd say like right after that playoff game that we lost.
Oh, okay. So fall, you kind of
Just like, I'm not done playing, kind of. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything on Chieftain football before we wrap it up? Here we are in March. What happens in March?
I'm sure I'm going to be on here again. So let's focus on Zach winning nationals and us going to party.
All right. You ready for some Chieftain football, by the way?
Absolutely. I mean, who isn't, right? I may not be around in August, but I'll definitely have someone here covering. That's for sure.
I'm always way up in the sky. What's it like to be on the field?
So, that's funny that you asked that. Joe Burrow mentioned something one day when I was listening to a podcast of him, and he was talking about how people don't understand how violent football is until you're on the sideline. I think that's the biggest thing that I realize is how highly emotion the game is. Like, out of all the sports I've covered, there's nothing like that brings the emotion of football.
The people are moving. They're moving
Right,
fast.
yeah.
I don't know if you ever, you played it, but do you ever pick up that when you're down there? Like, they're coming at you, and you're like, oh, boy, I better move.
Not really, I guess.
No.
Just from doing it so long, it's just like it excites me more.
Right.
I'm ready to lay into somebody.
It's an exciting thing. It's just unique because like the way the people don't act like the way they usually do when they're on the football field. It's a whole different emotion. Yeah, it just
it is.
It's like a war. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. You are at war with the other team. We may be friends after, but we are not right now. And that's the way I see
true.
it.
It is violent.
Yeah.
It is. It is legalized violence, I think is what Coach Reed has called it before. So, again, if people want to donate to the Bellefontaine High School DECA trip, it'll be April 22nd through the 25th in Orlando. Airplane, by the way?
Yep, getting flights.
Fly out and come back. And they still need a few $1,000s, maybe even bring home a national champ. Definitely be another podcast, by the way. I'll make sure it happens. And And if you want to donate, you can send your checks into Bellefontaine High School, attention DECA, 555 East Lake Avenue, Bellefontaine, Ohio, 43311. Jake, good luck to you next month. Hope you have a great trip to Orlando. Good luck to you, Zach.
Appreciate it.
Zach Horvath, Bellefontaine High School senior, DECA state champion with business growth plan. Jake Kennedy is the DECA advisor, also a business teacher at Bellefontaine High School. Thanks to our other guests who were talking about this this bracket of mine that's busted. Talking some, well, everybody's just busted.
Yeah.
Nobody gets that thing right. Talking some March Madness earlier in the show with Rick Reed and Jack Varner. Our show is presented by Easton Water Solutions. And for all of our guests, I'm Bill Tipple saying, have a good week. It's Chieftain Roll Call. Take care.